welcome to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dayna Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Girl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. Guys, if you are into party politics and if you are into helping recruit candidates and learning how to digital fundraise, then I'm telling you, you missed an amazing event on Saturday. Yes, the Indiana Democratic Party held its annual county party summit, and it was a half a day of a Saturday full of information about compliance and finance rules and how to digital fundraise with yours truly, of course. And there was this great conversation about how to use some of the tools in the ecosystem to help you navigate your field game and all of those things. And I tell you what, the room was packed with eager, newly elected county officials trying to learn how best to do what they do as party leaders. It was a great way to connect and get to know each other. It was a great way to understand what tactics and techniques have been working in certain places. You know what? I feel like there's this community coming with us, all of us Democrats. There's a lot of energy out there, and I felt it on Saturday. And I was super excited to see all the people who were engaged and were really feeling, right? They were really feeling how they can have a positive impact on our state when it comes to elections and politics and civic engagement and all that good stuff. So I'm telling you, it was a great turnout. And we got to even meet people who are vendors in our state that can provide services. I am going to make sure that I bring these vendors on the show so you can learn about them. People who design websites and help you get your websites together. People who are doing videos, doing content creation, all those things. You guys got to know who they are so we can build these networks up. And it was really exciting. And I'm excited about the energy and how we are coming together as a party. Right? No, we're not all going to get along. I get that. And all of us don't see things the same way. But honestly, everything that we're doing on our side of the aisle is about how do we empower people? How do we help people? How do we engage people? Right? We do care about our trinkets, but not like the other side does. The other side cares about money and how much more money and more land and how much land we can take from people and how many buildings I can build. Right? That's what they care about. They care about profits. We actually care about people. All right. So it was a great way to get connected. So if you don't know, if you want to know what your county party chair learned over the weekend, reach out to them. No matter what county you're in, hit them up and say, hey, I heard you went to this county party summit. What did you guys talk about and how can I volunteer? What? Of course, there's a call to action when it comes to Indiana's own Dayna Black. There's going to be a call to action. All right. But I got a rant. I just have one rant. I just got one. The Indiana Capitol Chronicle reports just one day after Governor Braun signed the state's next 2-year budget into law, the American Civil Liberties Union of Indiana filed a lawsuit to halt a provision slipped last minute into the must-pass legislation last month. The Wednesday filing urged the Monroe County Circuit Court to rule on a budget provision giving the governor full control over Indiana University's Board of Trustees. And that went into effect Tuesday with Braun's signature. Previously, 3 members of the 9-person committee were elected by IU alumni, and the governor appointed the other. The new provision violates the prohibition on special legislation contained in the Indiana's Constitution, said Ken Falk, the ACLU's Indiana legal director, in a statement. Every other 4-year public university in the state has a process for allowing alumni to select at least some members of the Board of Trustees. And there is no justification for denying that ability to the alumni of IU. The target on IU and not other higher education institutions makes those sections of the newly enacted budget special legislation, the lawsuit alleges. At Purdue University, 3 of the 10 board of trustee members are similarly elected by the school's alumni association. Both Ball State University and Indiana State University have an alumni council that nominate 2 members of its 9-member board. At the University University of Southern Indiana, all 9 members are appointed by the governor, though the school's alumni association can put forth a list of eligible names for one of the board's positions. In contrast, the governor controls the entire membership of Ivy Tech Community College and Vincennes University, both of which are 2-year institutions. Trustees traditionally approve budgets, set tuition rates, and oversee new academic programs along with campus projects. Now, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. When I saw this, I'm not an IU alum, never attended IU, don't live in Bloomington, right? But I found the attack on IU to be a little bit more than just trying to control and wrestle away control of IU. So if you guys don't know, and if you're not familiar, there has historically been a place called Dunn Meadows on the campus of IU that was a place that was set aside for students to protest. No matter what they were protesting, they could protest at Dunn Meadows. It was historically a place where all the students, no matter what they were protesting, could go there and be safe. Well, over the course of the last couple of years, the president of the university, and I'm sorry I can't remember her name, which you guys can look it up, right? She has essentially said, no, Dunn Meadows is off limits for protests. They have signs up that say no protesting. And at one point, they had armed guards standing over Dunn Meadows to prevent protests from happening. Now, Dayna, what does this have to do with this provision that you were talking about? I believe that there is an effort. There's this distinct effort to switch the political makeup of Bloomington, Indiana. Now follow me here. This thread might be a little long, but follow me here. So Bloomington, Indiana is a blue dot with a high population in Monroe County. Now, for the most part, Monroe County outside of Bloomington is pretty red, and the 9th district, for the most part, is pretty red. But Bloomington has an outsized influence on what happens in that district because of the income of the professors and faculty at IU. Okay. Also, with the desire to change the culture of IU, you run the risk of changing the types of professors and faculty that are actually be teaching young people at IU, which could then change the political makeup of Bloomington, because now you're changing out who is actually voting in Bloomington, Indiana. To me, this is a long game. And I know they don't ever think that we as Democrats have the capability of looking at things from a long distance perspective. But in my opinion, this is a long-term effort to switch the political makeup of Bloomington by slowly changing out who the faculty is. We already have anti-DEI legislation that prevents IU from doing certain diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings. Right. We already have them defunding the Kensington Institute. Kinsey Institute on sexual behavior and human body and all that good stuff. Because why would we want to know how any of this works? Right. Why would we want to know how our body works, how our sexuality works, how our minds work? Why would we want to study that? Right. So there's already defunding that. And a lot of the liberal leaning initiatives that IU has. Now, the trustee board can determine if they're going to fund those things. And if the Republican governor is now appointing all of the trustees and the alumni no longer have a say, that means that is a much quicker and rapid way to change the political makeup of IU. So you ask the question, well, why didn't they go after Purdue like that? Well, essentially, Purdue is a Republican school. It just is, right? You had Mitch Daniels that was running it. So there's no real issue. And West Lafayette, yes, we have some Democrats elected to the city council and things of that nature. But for the most part, it has typically not gone the same way as Bloomington has. Ball State is the same thing. You got Muncie, but it's not the same. But there's no school like IU that has such an outsized influence. Now, these people want to pretend like it's about finances. It's not. It's not. This is what you call a hostile takeover. If the guns over Dunn Meadows didn't scare you, if the arresting of people didn't scare you, if blocking off Dunn Meadows didn't scare you away and from your liberal leanings and wanting you to be quiet, then we're just bringing some trustees to shut it all down. See, I always thought that Republicans believed that there was, don't tread on me, right? Ain't they the don't tread on me people? But they like to tread on people who don't agree with them. They like to try to shut them down if you don't agree with them. Instead of looking at Diego Morales and his potential campaign finance violation, they want to go after students who are exercising their First Amendment right with armed guards on top of buildings at Dunn Meadow. I don't know what this is. I mean, I do, but it's like, why? What are you afraid of? Why are you, I want to ask the governor and the Republican Party, why are you so afraid of diversity of thought? We already know that you're afraid of diversity, period, because you don't want to, how many black Republicans you got? One that's been elected? How many black Latinos you got? One, Diego Morales. I wouldn't even brag on that one. It's not like you guys are real diverse. Bunch of white people. So you're not really listening to the needs of marginalized communities in the state because you don't represent them. Now you don't even want to listen to diversity of thought, meaning different ideas on how to get things done. You want to shut them down. That's authoritarianism. That is fear of progress. And I ain't even going to talk about the queer people because we know how you feel about them. Guys, this is what's happening. And the only way that we can stop this from happening is to get engaged and get involved. And that includes you down in Bloomington, right? You can no longer sit on the sidelines idly by watching these things happen. It's a long game. And I know some of y'all probably thinking Dayna's really out there. She is far-fetched. She is coming up. I'm telling you, just like we didn't see the Supreme Court because we didn't plan ahead. Guess what? Look at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said it is okay for Donald Trump to deny transgender people from serving in our military. Think about that. People who are willing to sacrifice their entire beings to make sure that we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are now denied access to the military. When Chief Orange Cheeto couldn't do it. He had bone spurs. He couldn't serve, and he called them losers. Suckers and losers. But these folks want to serve. Here we go again. Here we go again. So guys, I know you think because there are no elections in Indiana this year that we shouldn't be getting engaged, but now is the time to organize. Organize. And I don't mean just for the next election in 26, but I also mean 28. We need to have a plan for the census in 2030. All of these things must happen. All of us must get engaged. It is that time. All right. That is my rant. And when I come back, I'm going to bring you again another great conversation with the amazing executive director of our state party, Dayna Colbert. But first, these two announcements from Black Pearl IT Solutions and, of course, me, Indiana's own. Democrats, are you looking for an affordable digital content creation solution? Then look no further than Black Pearl IT Solutions and Black Pearl Studios. Indiana's own Dayna Black is providing many of the communication wraparound services any Democratic organization needs. No matter the size of the budget, Indiana's own and Black Pearl Studios have you covered. Just scan the QR code or visit www.blackpearl-its.com. All right. Yo, listen, there's enough for everybody to get involved. There's enough work to do. Dayna can't do it all. The Daynas cannot do it all by ourselves. Y'all, I am so excited to have back the amazing, dynamic, talented, and hardworking executive director of our state party, Dayna Colbert. How are you doing today, Dayna?
I'm doing good tonight, Dayna. How about you?
I am living my best life. Hey, before we get started, I got to tell you something I did. And I'm going to encourage everyone to do this. So I was a guest speaker for junior achievements at an elementary school today. And I talked about civic engagement and why they should be civically engaged, not just from a political perspective, but a non-political perspective. I, Dayna, think you would be fantastic volunteering your time to go talk to young people through junior achievements. What are your thoughts? Yes, I put you on the spot, didn't I?
You did, and it sounds like you might be volunteering me to do this, but I think it's a great idea. We don't have Schoolhouse Rock anymore unless you've got Disney Plus and you got someone putting it on there. So we definitely need to get our young people more civically engaged so they understand what's going on, not just for partisan politics or anything, but actually understanding the impact of what is passed at our legislature on their lives.
I love it. So I will make sure that I send you information on how you can sign up. I just think you would be great. I'm a little partial because I love you, but I think you would be great.
Well, thank you.
Today we decided we wanted to talk about what is going on and what finished up in the State House and kind of do a wrap up on a few bills that people should be aware of. But before we tackle that, there's been a big hugabaloo around the country now because we have, unfortunately, a lieutenant governor who is not very bright when it comes to a history, the Constitution, and the context of things. And I'm talking specifically about his comments in his video about the 3/5 compromise. I was on Wish TV this past week, and I said he's an unintelligent individual, and he uses the Bible to try to quantify his belief systems. And then I also reminded people that back in the day, people used the Bible to justify enslavement. Talk to me about when you heard this guy say these things about the 3/5 compromise from a political perspective and a personal perspective. What did you think about that?
Yeah. He's not very bright with coming and talking about the 3/5 compromise, right? Like, I don't want to shade on all the other things that he might be educated in because I don't know him. I just see what he puts out on the internet, but the things that he puts out on the internet don't seem like he knows what he's talking about. 3/5 compromise was not, as he said, a way for this nation to start ending slavery. No, it gave Southern states more power and more voting power by saying that enslaved folks are 3/5 of a person. It was not anything that he was claiming to say. And honestly, first reaction is to that was something that I typically don't like to talk about appearance, so I'm not going to go there.
Right. It's just scary, though, that, and I think that he said the quiet part out loud. I mean, I think this is one of the and I want people to understand when you have that mindset, that white Christian nationalist mindset of how things are, you want to go back to that. Now, we are seeing people being deported. And I know that there's some Republicans say that that's just not how we are as Republicans, but you're anti-immigrant. You're anti-diversity, equity, inclusion, and you want to suggest that, the 3/5 compromise was a good thing, right? There's a pattern here. And I need people to understand, as they start to round people up and disappear people, even American citizens, this is what they want. And we must be vigilant and staying focused on what is happening because these people don't want us here. They want to go back to what they think was a white country, but it was never a white country because they couldn't settle this thing on their own. They weren't able to survive on their own without the Native Americans, and they weren't able to grow it without black people and Chinese people that were here. So, these people killed me thinking that this is a white nation. Never was, never will be, but you got to stay vigilant because they will try to round us all up and deport us. And I just kind of wanted to hit on that real quick before we dive into the nitty gritty of our discussion today. All right, Dayna, the biggest bill I think is that SB 1, the budget bill. So dive into that and tell the people what that was and what was in there. And I know I mentioned about the IU thing that they slipped in there, but let's just stick to the bill itself and what it's supposed to accomplish.
Yeah, well, the bill was supposed to be giving property tax relief, but it was another classic shell game. So they just moved the money out from you as a homeowner taxpayer, and now it's going to be on the burden of your local units of government.
And so, and in what ways? Well, how did they make that shift? Was it they added some more language in there for municipalities?
Yeah, so they're adding over $3 billion in potential new local income taxes and cutting local government funding by $1.5 billion. So homeowners are going to get a one-time credit that's about $300, somewhere between $200 and $300. But then, your local units of government, your cities, your towns, they are dealing with a loss in income taxes. So they have to figure out how they're going to be able to fund everything. So in order to fund things, they will most likely need to raise your local income taxes.
And that's to pay for things like, schools, infrastructure, right? Trash pickup, snow plowing, all the things that all of the services that our municipal services provide, they got to make up for that loss. And so, so do you think then that Governor Braun was able to follow through on his campaign promise?
I mean, if you're going to talk about technicalities, yes, he is technically giving homeowners a tax cut through this, but you are going to then have to make up for it from your cities, et cetera, so that they can fund police, fire, schools, et cetera.
I think he set himself up for failure on that one because he made promises that he knew he couldn't keep without offsetting it, and which also speaks to when we're voting for people, you need to look at the totality of things. I remember Jennifer McCormick, when she was talking about tax relief and what that looked like, she specifically spoke about making sure that we are not leaving municipalities high and dry. But apparently that didn't. And the libertarian, he was going nuts. He just wanted to cut everything down to 1%, and y'all just fend for yourself. You going to put a snowplow on the front of your Tesla? That's what you was about to do. You mess around with the libertarian. So, was there anything else in this bill that you really wanted to cover that we should be concerned about?
Yeah, in this is the bill where, if you guys saw online, it closes a rural school district. It closes a school district in Union and Randolph counties. It's got to close by 2027. And with this coming about, is this the first in a trend? Is next session, are they going to go after a different school district? What are those kids going to do in that school district? Going to have to go to a charter school? What's that going to look like?
I think the bad part about that is that they didn't even have a chance for community comment. They had no public discussion on it. They didn't, and the people in Union in that school system found out about it after it was signed. So and it was introduced by one of their people, right? So now these parents are like, wait, what? And they didn't know because they weren't being transparent. Right. If you slip something in the middle of the night and people don't know about it, are you really being transparent? And if it's such a great idea, right, you introduced that earlier in the session, and then that particular bill died. If it's such a great idea, why would you have to slip it in the secrecy of last minute bills? And it had nothing to do with SB1.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's just shadiness all around.
Yeah, and so these are our elected official people. They shady. All right, what's the next bill you want to talk about?
So the next bill I want to talk about is the budget bill, which is HB 1001. That was balancing the budget on the backs of our working and middle class Hoosiers. One of the key things is expands vouchers. Even though, we had the forecast of the, $2 billion deficit, it still expands vouchers. Somehow we ended up funding that by cutting a lot of other things. So, the richest families can still send their kids to private schools on our public tax dollars.
Wait, I thought that died. I thought the universal voucher bill died.
They expanded some of it. It wasn't as big an expansion,
okay,
but it was a little bit.
Okay, because I heard them saying, look, we just really can't afford it. So basically, wealthy people who were never going to send their kid to public schools are now getting, a $7,000 coupon to send their kid to private school, which they were going to do anyway?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, if it talk about wealth shift, right? Shifting wealth, they just literally shifted wealth up, right? And so what happens to those schools that are no longer getting that funding?
That's a good question. Are they going to have to do more referendums? Those local income taxes, all that stuff. Are these schools closing? Where are these kids going to go then if these schools start to close?
I don't seem to understand why these folks think that public school is not an asset to communities. Your ability to get a good education should not be dependent upon how much money your parents make or what zip code you live in. Every kid should have the opportunity to get a great education. These folks don't feel that way. They want to give good education to some people and then warehouse the rest. And when you look at where Indiana is and the businesses and the corporations that are here and they're looking for talent, right? They're looking for talent. They're looking at young people coming here with their families. And if they can't get quality public education, in many cases, they won't come. And so the businesses start to suffer and they start to tailor the business for the workforce that they have. Eli Lilly told us that, right? Eli Lilly told us that. Talk about other things in this bill.
Yeah, so I'm going to stick with the education. All public universities in Indiana are having their state funding slashed as well by 5%. So, not only down at your K through 12 level, where they're getting less money, and then you also have up in your higher education, because as you can see through studies, people who are more educated do tend to vote Democrat, at least in general. They tend to vote more Democratic. So this is part of the plan to continue to keep the supermajority in power.
Wow. And again, that's a long-term gain, because if you can't actually access the education because you can't afford it, right? And we're seeing that the Department of Education might be going bye-bye real soon. So where you're going to go get private loans, which the interest rates are going to be ridiculous, right? This is just so many ways to say we don't want you to have a good life.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even for me, so I went to Ball State. I have a public education for undergrad and grad school, and I had student loans in my name, about $30,000, and it was all public through the government loans. I didn't have to take any private loans.
Yeah.
Still owe near $30,000, and I graduated in 2013.
I feel that. I mean, because I graduated undergrad in 2009. No. I think, 2009. And then I graduated grad school 2013. I owe more in student loans than I do on my mortgage. I do. And honestly, I really don't care. Like, listen, I wanted to pay my bills back. Things have gotten crazy. I was even paying my student loan for the first year of COVID, right? When they let us not have to pay. But at this age, I am like, I don't care if I die with debt, because y'all not doing right. When it comes to these student loans.
Yeah. The only time I actually started paying on my principal was during COVID, when they weren't charging me interest.
Yeah, I paid on it, but and I love the folks that have been in public service that finally got there. Once the Biden administration came in 2020 and reopened that public service, and they were able to get their loans forgiven if they had given 10 years or more to nonprofits or government. Yay, because you get paid less when you work in nonprofit and in the government, right? And so that's an incentive to work there. But these guys, they don't care. They don't care what you do. They just want you to be widget creators, because they want to bring back manufacturing, right?
Yep.
We want to bring back, what we're paying people pennies to do in other countries. We want them to do it here. And trust me, with our culture here in America, you're going to pay us, right? So now your iPhone's going to go from whatever it is now, double that if you have to pay living wages to people who are putting together iPhones.
Yep.
So what else is in this bill?
So we also slashed public health funding from 150 million to 40 million, even though we're supposed to make America and make Indiana healthy again. So that doesn't seem like it goes with that. It'll also got county public health programs and critical funding for vaccine availability and opioid crisis relief.
Wow. So in a state where we have one of the highest infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate, and allowing mothers to go get that prenatal care, which is a part of this, but those fundings are now being cut.
Mm-hmm.
And vaccinations and opioid. Well, we just want to be sick and dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to a buddy of mine, and she was talking about the health disparities between those who are housed and those that have housing insecurity, and how health outcomes are related to how much people make. And not only do we know people who make a little bit more money have a healthier lifestyle, we're not providing the resources necessary to help those that don't. And that is problematic. Again, as Democrats, we care about people.
Right.
You know, but your governor, not my governor, your governor was talking about he wants to keep his AAA rating. I don't know about y'all, but give a damn about your AAA rating.
Right.
Who cares? There are people dying. What else we got in this one? Oh, there's an interim study.
CS study.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to study removing the DCS caseload limits, which doesn't seem like it's going to help kids. You know, those limits are there for a reason, to make sure that those workers are not overwhelmed. And so studying to see if that is fine to get rid of, like, that's just going to overwhelm and burn out these DCS workers.
And they don't get paid much as it is, right? I mean, not as much as, you know, being a consultant somewhere. So we're going to increase their caseloads. But check this out. Yes, we're going to burn out the workers, the DCS workers, but we're also going to put kids in harm's way. Because if your caseload is overloaded, how can you make sure that every person is being taken care of the way they should? So kids are going to get hurt. Families are going to get hurt by this. And like, wow, this sounds like a cost-cutting measure to actually decrease the staff. Like, if I'm increasing the workload, that means I can get rid of some of y'all.
Yeah, it doesn't really sound like it jives with the party that's supposed to care about the family.
Yeah, no, they only care about their families. Damn your families. Gosh. That is scary to increase the number of caseloads on our DCS workers when we're talking about Department of Child Services. We're talking about kids. We're talking about kids. I mean, you make women have these babies because whether they want to or not, regardless of the situation that got them pregnant, and now you're going to cut off whatever mechanisms they may need to make sure that the kids are being taken care of safely. Because remember, they said you can always give these kids up for adoption. Right? No abortion. Give the kid up for adoption, but we're going to cut DCS. Does that make sense?
No, not at all.
Dayna, we got a clean house at the State House. Are y'all not feeling any of this? Like, oh my God, we have got to clean house at the State House because these clowns are putting our families' lives in jeopardy. This ain't even no joke. All right, what's the next bill we want to talk about?
All right, I got one more bad bill that I want to highlight. On my end, and that is, well, actually, I'm going to spring it on you. I have two more bills, Dayna.
Okay.
I told you one, but I've got two. One is SB 10, and that is the one that is that takes away the ability for college students to use their public university ID as their photo ID for voting.
Wow. Yeah, I hate that bill. I'm not a fan of that bill. Because if you think about it, a lot of kids on college campuses don't have a driver's license because they don't need one. And their state they may not have state ID. They may not have had it before they came to college. Right. One of the reasons, tell us why you think the reason is that they decided to go after college students and their college IDs.
In general, and this is a generality, but we did see some shifts this last election. Younger folks do tend to vote more Democratic. And so allowing them to use their public ID, which, you know, remember, public universities are government entities, so this is a government issued ID. And taking that ability away just makes it more difficult for them to vote, which makes it more difficult for them to vote Democratic and more difficult for us to get out of the supermajority.
Absolutely. And again, they want to stifle you. They don't want to offer up great ideas to help us be better. They just want to stifle ideas and keep power. It's not about improving lives. It's about keeping power. I hate that bill.
Well, luckily, there's a lawsuit moving right now on it.
Oh, so the State House that spends money on lawsuits. Yay! That's how you save money. Keep passing, unconstitutional laws. That's it. The ACLU is suing you over and over again. You know what? I do believe the State House Republicans are, on their own funding the ACLU of Indiana. They don't, but donate to ACLU. If you have money, donate to ACLU.
Yeah.
That's a horrible bill. I'm sorry that this one even passed. I hate that I didn't get a chance to hear testimony on that one. Did you get the chance to hear testimony on that one?
I did not, but I do know that some of our college gems did provide testimony on that. So
Love it.
shout out.
Love it. Good on them. All right, you guys can read more about that bill. And what's the one that you sprung on me?
The one that I'm springing on you is Senate Bill 287. That's the partisan school board one.
Oh, yes. We this one's been coming for about 4 sessions now, if I'm not mistaken. They have been trying to get this thing passed for a while. They want to, make it partisan. I talked about this one last week on my show a little bit because Linda, what's her name? She's a Republican senator. I don't agree with her on pretty much anything, but even a broke clock is right twice, and I agreed with her on this one. And she's such a miserable woman. I can't think of that senator's name, but
Liz Brown.
Yes, that's her name. Liz Brown, miserable woman. Oh my God, she never smiles. I mean, not that a woman has to smile, but she just always looked like she ate bad fruit. I don't know what it is with that woman, but this is a horrible bill. But I think this one may end up coming back to bite them.
It might. It could. This has the partisan school boards. There is also the option to not mark a party, but this can impact people who are just trying to serve their community. If you're a government employee, then somebody decides that, and they make this a partisan race, then you can't run. Yeah. So this is the only way that somebody who just really just wanted to serve their community and serve their kids, if they had that job, now they can't run because of the Hatch Act.
Yeah. Well, here's a good thing. They can also not declare and just make the whole fiasco mute. And I would actually encourage school board candidates to just not declare, and let them just see, we didn't need you for this. Right. Yep. This is just a way, because they know that straight ballot voting, or, is a thing. I'm not saying it right, Dayna. Say it for me.
Yeah.
Straight ticket.
Yeah, we have straight ticket voting here. Luckily, this is not going to be part of that.
Good.
Small win there.
Okay, so they actually will have to vote for their school board members. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Cool. Excellent. Now, I am curious to see how they put them on the ballot. Will they put them on the ballot by the party or non-party affiliation, or will they put them all in alphabetical order and then maybe put the parentheses of what they are next to it? I don't know. I'm curious to see, because if they run as a Republican or a Democrat, they have to run in a primary, right?
I don't recall that. I don't think so.
Okay. We'll verify that one and we'll let you know, because we're here for but that's a horrible bill. But they've been working on that one. Again, the long game. They wait until people get tired of fighting it, and then they pass it. Mm-hmm. So, all right, we're done with that one. Ugh. All right, you talked about SB 409. Let's talk about something we did as Democrats, right? This is a Senator Rodney Pohl bill. Talk about this one.
Yeah, so Senate Bill 409, like you said, that is a Rodney Pohl bill. I am going to try and get to that really quickly. So that one is Rodney Pohl. So he's up from the northern part of the state. He passed a bill that allows parents to attend an attendance or a case conference at their child's school without their employer being able to fire them for missing work. So this again, we talked about how the Republicans don't really seem like they're big on the family. We're putting bills up and getting bills passed that do help out families. So Senator Pohl's bill is one of those that does.
So apparently somebody somewhere was being threatened with unemployment or being fired because they had to attend a parent-teacher conference that was in the middle of the day. That whoever that employer was, you stink. You just stink that we had to pass legislation. You stink. You should rethink your values. That's horrible. Somebody going to take care of the kid and you going to fire him? That's dumb. So thank you, Rodney, for whoever brought this to you, because that's how bills get introduced. Someone from the community talks to their elected officials, and this obviously was a problem. And thank you, Rodney, for doing whatever you had to do to work across the aisle to get this bill passed. Because I see it looks like there's some bipartisan on this. Linda Rogers. Yes, Linda Rogers is on that. She co-authored that bill. So good work on working across the aisle. At least somebody wants the people to go and see about their kids in school and be able to feed them too. Mm-hmm. Golly. What are your thoughts on that, though?
I mean, like you said, it makes sense. Like, let parents be parents. If they have to take the time to go and talk to their child's school, it's for a good reason. They're not, just skipping out on work just to skip out on work. They've got to go and take care of their child. So they shouldn't be penalized for doing that.
Absolutely. I can't even believe somebody would fire somebody for a parent-teacher conference. Goodness gracious. All right. So give me, Mitch Gore got a bill passed.
He did.
And his is timely. Like his was, whoo, talk about it.
His was so timely. So if you guys will recall, we had a story come through that was about Lieutenant Governor and the Secretary of State buying high-end luxury vehicles to the tune of $80,000+. So Mitch Gore had a bill that passed that is not retroactive. It goes into effect on July 1st, but it will prevent state government entities and officials from buying luxury or high trim level vehicles. So, especially in these cases, I think the lieutenant governor's vehicle, the previous lieutenant governor's vehicle was recently purchased, like within the last couple of years. So didn't really need to replace that at the tune of almost $90,000 for taxpayers.
Jeez. And you know what that speaks to? My goodness. Did you really get into this job for public service or personal gain? Mm-hmm. Right. And then if you recall, the lieutenant governor, the dum-dum, the non-historian, was trying to troll people by borrowing somebody's Tesla truck, right, and parking it in his spot. I mean, this is the mentality of a child. Right. This is the mentality of a spoiled child. That's who we have as a lieutenant governor, a spoiled, uneducated child. And I said it. Tell him Indiana's own said it. Oh, he drives me nuts. I was warning people for a year. Like, I was telling people, like, y'all don't want this guy. And then, unfortunately, Mike Braun, being as pitiful as he is, he didn't have any influence over his own party to not let the dude win. So, duh. And back to the 3/5 real quick. I know Mike Braun said, think before you speak, but I ain't really feeling all warm and cozy about Mike Braun pushing back on Micah Beckwith, because Mike Braun refuses to talk to black people.
Well, and if you'll remember, in 2022, Mike Braun said that the interracial marriage should be determined at the state level.
Right.
He was given multiple chances to clarify Loving v. Virginia and what that was, and he doubled down. And then after he got a bunch of backlash, he said that's not what he meant.
Yeah, right. Because we're all dumb. We didn't see what we actually saw, right? But honestly, Mike Brown don't give two craps about our marginalized communities. He does not care. Prove me wrong. Show me where he gives a damn about black and brown people and the LGBTQ plus people and any other marginalized community. He does not. Anyway, okay, I had to get off that soapbox for a minute because he don't give a shite. All right, what else we got?
All right. Well, as you know, we had a show a couple of months ago where we talked about, how everything goes through the state house. And remember that we're in a we are a super minority. And so it is difficult for us to pass bills, but we were able to pass some. One of the other ones I want to highlight is House Bill 1441. That was passed by Rep. Campbell, and it allows foster children who are 16 or older to open bank accounts without a cosigner.
Love that.
Yeah, this is super impactful for our foster children, especially the older they get. Sometimes it is more difficult to be in houses with folks. And so being able to open their bank accounts once they get a job and be able to control their own money is huge.
I love that. That is somebody looking out for those young folks that don't have that typical guardian, a steady guardian. And you never know what somebody's intentions are anyway when they're in the foster system. Again, hello, anti-choice people. Where y'all at? How come there's so many kids that even need this? How come y'all ain't snatching these babies up and adopting them? Oh, wait, we know why. What else we got?
All right, I'm going to run through some of the other ones that the House Democrats were able to pass, and should have some info on that as well. House Bill 1065, Rep. Shackelford passed this one. This is allowing independent private third parties to cover costs for patients in cancer clinical trials.
Oh, I love that. So okay. It says allows the entity to establish and administer cancer clinical trials. So that way clinical trials are a way for our science community to understand how a particular drug may impact us, and they test it on humans. So I'm assuming before then there was no compensation, and they had to foot the test subject, and I hate to call it that, but the test subject had to foot the bill themselves. And so this allows them to participate and possibly get solutions to some of their healthcare problems without going broke.
Or, clarifying the law. 'Cause sometimes the law is very vague in some of these things.
I love it. I love it. What else we got?
All right, this next one, I'm not going to be able to dive too deeply into because this is not an area of my expertise. Okay. But House Bill 1226, this was passed by Rep. Dan Chesser. It was a gives cost-saving opportunities to seniors by taking advantage of the birthday rule for Medicare Advantage plans.
So, okay, I don't know what the birthday rule is, but it sounds like old people got a break for once. Somebody was looking out for us old people. I love it. And and we are passing good bills that improve lives. This is a bill that I think, obviously, when it comes to our elders and our older citizens, it's going to help them with their lives. And that's what we want. All right. What's next?
House Bill 1095, that was passed by Rep. Harris, expands Indiana Crime Guns Task Force to include Lake County. So, just expanding that coverage to be able to help make folks safer.
Interesting that they would not have included Lake County to begin with. Like, why not? Why wouldn't you? It's the second populated county in our state. Why wouldn't you include it? That doesn't even make sense. So when they wrote this original thing, I'm curious what their mindset was. And congratulations, Representative Harris, in getting this passed, because why are we treating Lake County? Oh, wait, never mind.
Well,
I think I know the answer to that. All right. What else we got?
House Bill 1376, that changes the definition of emergency medication, as well as expands access to life-saving medication in schools by allowing them to carry more overdose reversal medication. So they can carry naloxone. Don't correct me on that pronunciation, as well as other overdose medications. That was Rep. Pat Boy.
I love it. Pat Boy is one of my favorites. I'm not going to lie. I tell you what, she has such insight on things from a much broader perspective. With age comes wisdom, and I'm going to say she's got it. So I am glad that she's running for re-election in 26. And I think she's getting some positive work done in that state house. She knows how to work across the aisles. That's a good bill. All right, next.
Next, House Bill 1297 by Rep. Arrington. And this is with the Voluntary Yellow Dot Motor Vehicle Information Program, which is designed to provide first responders with vital medical information during accidents. So, just making sure that if you are in an accident, you can check and make sure, are you getting something that might potentially conflict with any medication you have or any other medical situations that you have.
So I assume this Yellow Dot program is something that other people are using. Yellow Dot. I don't know what the Yellow Dot is. Let me. Do you know what it is?
I do not.
Okay, let's Google this real quick, because it sounds like you don't want a first responder to inadvertently give you a dose of something that could make the situation worse. Right. So that's what I'm assuming this is about. The Yellow Dot program is a life-saving initiative that ensures first responders can access vital medical information quickly, particularly when accident victims are unable to provide it themselves. I'm going to read the rest of this. The program is already in effect in 22 other states, providing added benefits for Hoosiers traveling out of state. So it's not just something that's for Indiana. It's something that's happening across the state. I think it's a good, let me see. So I'm still not sure exactly what it is, but I'm going to assume first responders know what it is. I'm not sure if it's something that we have to sign up for. We'll get some more information, but it sounds like this is a great thing, right? This is a way in case you're in an accident. And sometimes we know how 65 can be. Right, man. So this is a way to make sure that you're not getting dosed up with something that could be very harmful. So we'll look into that one a little bit more. Did I copy that one? I want to make sure that I got it in the links so that people can follow along. Yes, I got that one. All right. What is the next one, Dayna?
All right, I have House Bill 1416. This is a little bit of a more verbose one. So this impacts massage establishments in particular. As well as some additional other things. So first, it requires safety rest areas, gas stations, welcome centers, etc., to display human trafficking awareness information. And then where it comes in with the massage establishments in particular is also allowing them to put that information up. And it prohibits them from advertising on websites that accept ads for escort services, as well as specifying requirements for operations of massage establishments. And that was Rep. Bartlett.
You know, Representative Bartlett has been working on getting rid of human trafficking for as long as I have known him. And this is a step in the right direction, you know, and I know a lot of people will be like, well, what is a sign going to do? You never know what a sign is going to do for somebody that is being trafficked, right? Mm-hmm. They may feel like, oh, wait, this is me. Right. I know people, they put the warning labels on the cigarettes from the Surgeon General and people still smoke. Right. We know that. But this is a way to give that information, and it doesn't allow you to advertise. I love this. There are a lot of people who are coming up missing, and it ain't because of the Orange Menace. Right. There are literally young people who are being taken away and being used for in ways that they shouldn't be. And so I like this bill, and congratulations to John Bartlett to getting another step closer to really dealing with human trafficking and what that looks like. He's been working on that for a long time. I'm really proud of him on that one. Okay, what else we got?
All right, we've got House Bill 1380. This just exempts motor-driven vehicles and lightweight electric vehicles from annual electric vehicle supplement fees, and that was also by Rep. Boy.
Okay, wait a second. Provide the supplemental fee to register electric. Okay, so does that mean? So they removed the electric vehicle fee? Is that what you're saying? Is this what this is saying?
That's what I'm saying, for specific types of electric vehicles.
Okay. Okay. Well, I get that, because they shouldn't be like double billed, right? Yeah. They shouldn't pay one tax and then because they have an electric vehicle, another tax. I mean, my goodness. Okay. I like that. I like that one. Again, Pat Boy. Come on, Pat. She got 2 bills passed. Come on, girl. What else we got?
All right, we've got HB 1289, which was Rep. Hamilton, and that ensures that Indiana gets federal resources to support employment social enterprises, which are entities that offer employment with specific social missions.
Okay, so we have to keep an eye on this one. Even though it passed our state house, I imagine the federal government will come down on this. So we have to be vigilant. And all of you Republicans that voted for this bill, don't let your Cheeto chief take it away from us. Right? These funds are good because I literally had a whole conversation about community engagement. Now we want to incentivize people to improve our communities. So talk to your Cheeto chief and make sure he doesn't take this away from us at the federal level, because guess what? You guys are not going to like all the community enhancements that they're going to do. There's literally going to be people who care about queer people in the LGBTQ plus community, and they're going to want to help. So stop trying to take it away, because when they're healthy, we're all healthy. Right? So I love this bill. Congratulations, Representative Hamilton. Got to know her. We both ran at the same time for the first time. And she's been dope up there in 87. I'm really proud of her. All right. What else we got?
We've got House Bill 1292, which establishes Northwest Indiana Professional Sports Development Commission, which then authorizes the commission to study various plans and recommendations that are proposed with respect to attracting professional sports franchise to Northwest Indiana, like the Bears. This was authored by Rep. Harris.
I mean, do we want the Bears? I mean, okay, maybe they do want the Bears. I don't know.
It's Chicago suburbs, so I'm a Colts fan, but I'm also a Bears fan.
I understand, but I think this is good because we are in Indianapolis. We know how much a sports franchise, a professional sports franchise, even a minor league franchise can mean to the economy and economic growth. I mean, my goodness, we had the Pacers for a long time, but before Mayor Hudnut was really into making sure that we're the sports capital of the world, we were kind of languishing. But we hosted the Pan Am games. We snuck over the Colts in the middle of the night. Thanks, Baltimore. And we were one of the first expansion WNBA teams, and then we host Final Fours and we host Olympic trials. It really has boosted the economy of our city. I know a lot of people feel like they don't feel it, but there's an opportunity. It grows us. It grows our communities. And I'm excited that Lake County and the region and the Northwest region will get the opportunity to woo sports teams, especially soccer teams, right? Soccer is starting to become big. Indianapolis doesn't have an MLS team, right? We have a minor league team. So maybe, Lake County can get an MLS team to compete for Indiana. I love this. This is great. Sports is great. I mean, especially since the Pacers are up 2-0. I normally don't talk about sports, but since it was a sports bill, I'm going to talk about how the Pacers are up 2-0. Love it.
And in the last minute of each of those two games, too.
Pardon me?
The last minute, at least of the second game.
I mean, they were playing better than Republicans sneaking bad pieces of language into a bill in the middle of the night. I know I got cousins that live in Cleveland, and I have purposefully not said anything to them yet. I'm just gonna wait. Wait. I mean, because you never know. The series is not over, so you can't be too high on your horse, and there's still too many games left. All right, we got more bills.
Oh, we have a couple more.
Okay.
Rep. Gore also had another bill passed, 1280, that extends the state income tax exemption to additional members of the U.S. Uniformed Services.
Oh, my goodness. You mean to tell me we're going to give a tax break to military service people? What a novel idea. I don't know what took them so long to do that. I believe 100% that our military deserves, anybody that's willing to serve, they deserve the world. I wish we would give them their first home when they get out of the service, anywhere they want it, right? We just buy them a home, right? Gosh, that would help with some of the homeless issues we have. Not all, but some. If you would just say, hey, when you get out, here's a voucher for you to go buy a house no matter where you want to live, up to a certain amount, right? Obviously. But why not? I love it. Give these folks a tax break. Love it. Next bill.
All right. House Bill 1148, which allows a registration or a certificate of a birth or stillbirth to remain confidential for 99 years after the record is created. Before that was at 75, and that was by Rep. Porter. Okay,
this is good because y'all don't need to know my business. Y'all don't. If I have a miscarriage, I shouldn't tell you. I like it. I don't know how much it actually impacts, but I like it. All right. What else we got?
And we've got House Bill 1468. It allows small tobacco vendors to sell cigars at events on a temporary basis, and that was by Rep. Miller.
Okay. Again, a leisure bill. Should y'all really be smoking? I don't know. That's up to you. You grown. But Michael Jordan would probably like that bill. He loves his cigars, since we were talking about basketball. Hey, if you like cigars, smoke a cigar. All right. That one doesn't move me.
Yeah, support small businesses, right?
Yeah.
So
thank you. See, give me a different perspective. Support small businesses. All right, next bill.
All right, this is the last one that I wanted to highlight, and this was by Senator Yoder, SB 176. Basically, nursing students were going through, some of these processes before getting a high school diploma, and it was like this weird loop. Gray area. And so this clarified that they do not have to have a high school diploma as they start this program. They just have to have that high school diploma or equivalent by the time they finish the program.
I love that because I know that over at North Central High School up in Washington Township, when I went to school, they have the J. Everett Light Center, and it's a career center. And so they had nursing programs over there. Now it looks like we can expand it, right? If you want to go into nursing, you can take your regular curriculum and then take these essentially what are trade schools, but nursing is more than a trade. I love this because we want to encourage people to get into healthcare and stay in healthcare and learn as much as they possibly can because we see that our healthcare is in dire need of nurses, quality nurses. So yay. Should have known Shelley Yoder was looking out for our health. She's so dope. Senator Yoder is so dope. Love her to death. Wow, that was a lot of bills that we covered. Mm-hmm. We did it.
A lot of bills, a lot of things happened last minute over at session, but we were able to get through them. I know there's a couple other folks who are also covering it. There's a lot to digest. So you're going to hear a lot about these bills for the time to come.
And here's the thing, guys. One of the reasons why we want to talk about these bills is because a lot of these bills are going to go into effect this year. that property tax bill, even though you may not see a difference in your tax bill because it's going to be only $300 basically, you may see a difference in your income tax that is being taken out from municipalities. That's going to be happening soon. You're going to be seeing, school systems shut down and being phased out, and you're going to be wondering where your kid is going to go to school. Right. So these bills are important and they are impacting your lives. But here's the thing. We don't have to sit back and just take it. We can get engaged and we can get involved and we can have a say in what is happening in our government. Dayna, wow, that was a lot to digest. Do you have any parting words for us as we come to the conclusion of this Turn Left show?
I just think, we had a lot going on this session. I know a lot of people were very engaged, and I do want to give a shout out to everyone who was paying attention to what was going on, everyone who testified and provided testimony while these bills were going through, people who were sounding the alarm, and especially people who were calling your legislators and letting them know how you felt about some of these bills.
Exactly. And that's what civic engagement is all about. As Barbara Jordan, the late, great Barbara Jordan said, politics is not, and I'm paraphrasing, politics is not a spectator sport. Y'all have to get involved and get engaged, and don't wait for me and Dayna to tell you what's going on. We all need to get involved. And the way that I try to explain it to you is, find the subject that you're most passionate about. And I bet there's a bill that's being written about it, or get a group of people together and you say, I'm taking bills 1 through 10, you take 11 through 20, and you divide them up and see if they have any validity. Not all of them are going to get passed. Not all of them get a hearing, but at least you know what people are thinking. And if it doesn't get a hearing this year, watch that language. Because that language will come back around, just like, the phasing out of the schools and taking over of IU. The language is tossed in a bill at the very last minute. I hate sneaky. Oh, my God. Just sneaky and shady. All right. Indiana's Own is going to be off next week. I don't know. I can't remember. Am I? Let me look at my calendar. I can't remember. Let me look. The 15th. Yes, I'm going to be off next week. Actually, for the next few weeks, I'm going to be traveling. But look for me, Mary Noon, and Mark Gavart. We're going to do another breakdown. Mark, see, the one thing about Mary will break it down in a way like, Dayna, the things that you and I may or may not understand, Mary knows. Mm-hmm. Right. I invited her to come on today. She's got a health scare in the family. So we're sending love her way. She was going to join us tonight and she would have been able to really digest it. But that's OK. Look for us. So we're going to do another Let's Talk Indiana so we can get you some more information about what these bills are and how they will impact your lives. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Dayna, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And I'll holler at y'all next time. Peace.
Turn Left is the property of Black Pearl IT Solutions. Executive producer, Indiana's Own Dayna Black. Music by www.bensound.com.